The next silly theme I would like to go over is friendships ending or dissolving. This is one of the more visceral themes in all of the themes I'm going to discuss. So, it's very fascinating to me. It still is fascinating to me. It was in the past years ago, and it still is fascinating to me since I started slowly how even an online friendship ending can be as hurtful as a in-person friendship ending. It's very, very interesting to me because it's, even though it's not, online friendships are not the same to me as in-person friendships, the feelings and emotions of an in-person friend are still present for an online friend if they're a true, genuine friend. And I find that, but still, it's not the same as an in-person friend, so there's still that discrepancy there, and that's what I find so fascinating about, like, observing and analyzing my own feelings regarding my online friends, and especially when a friendship does end or dissolve. It's very, I am constant, like, in that moment, I'm observing and analyzing how I feel. Why do I feel this way? Etc. And one of my experiences with this is actually the first online friend I ever had. You know, that I mentioned earlier, our friendship ended, and I was very hurt, even though it's a very interesting how it happened, how it occurred. I was the one who technically ended the friendship, though I still, which is like ironic, right? It's like, how could I feel hurt when I was the one who technically ended the friendship, right? And that's where it's like stories can be and tend to get nuanced, right? Because yeah, I was the one who ended it, but it's like I felt very hurt, and it's like, oh, you clearly regretted ending it. And in a way, I sort of do, though not that much, because I think it would have ended anyways given the context, because I think what it was is that, you know, at that time I ended it. I think it would have ended anyways, like soon after, even if I did not start it, because to make it as like plain as possible, they were in a time in their life where they wanted to allocate time to other aspects of their life other than having an online friend, or maybe it was having me as a friend. So that's what it was. And so even though I ended it, it would have ended anyways, probably because they wanted to allocate time to other aspects of their life. And at that time, because I was younger, this happened a few years ago, not that many years ago, but I was a little bit younger. We weren't at necessarily the same time, not the same time, but we weren't necessarily at the same exact positions in our life where I did want to continue the friendship. Even, yes, I ended it, but I ended it more out of like feeling hurt about something that I'm not going to. I felt like I felt that they weren't putting in as much time and effort in the friendship as they used to. And that goes back to the fact that I think it was the beginning of them using time in other ways, which is fine, right? They were allocating more time to other aspects of their life. And so I was starting to like sense that, and so I was like, you know what? And so I said it, so I laid out this message as I laid it out back then. Maybe I probably would word it differently now, because I'm not the exact same person I was 2 years ago. So, you know, I felt, I laid it out how I felt at that time about it, and so that's why I say, even though I ended it technically by saying, I'm just going to end it because I feel like it's just not, the friendship is not the same anymore as far as the time and effort. And I also was, I was not as out in the world as I am now. So I also just didn't experience, having a job, a more consistent job, as well as having other endeavors and activities. I guess what I'm trying to say is I wasn't experienced in being a young adult, I suppose, is like kind of the best way I could word it. So I just felt like, oh, they're just, they're not spending as much time and effort as I am in this friendship. And in that way, I think I just was inexperienced and I think in some ways naive. So, it was a different time for me. So, that's what happened. But then, I still wanted to be friends with them, because it wasn't so like there was a conflict. It wasn't a direct conflict at the point of friction. It was simply the timing. So it's like, okay, maybe we can still try to be friends. But, and they, from there, the friendship just ended / dissolved, because they weren't, sending me anything after that message about me ending it, which is like, okay, you're the one who ended it. I'm the one who ended it. So, it's like, oh, well, of course they're not going to send you any more messages back. Or maybe it's not, of course. Maybe some people would be like, oh, well, I would send a message back. I don't know. Either, like, it depends whoever you ask. But they didn't for a long time. And so I felt very hurt by that. And I was surprised. I was very surprised by how hurt I felt over that friendship ending. Dare I say, I was shocked by how immense my feelings of hurt was for that friendship ending, even though it was literally over screen, right? It's over screen, but yet I still felt very overwhelmed with feeling sad and hurt, synonyms of that. So, and after that, I still went on SOOO. I still encountered other people, though I still, thought about that friendship, and still do sometimes now, which I still find very fascinating because it's online, right? So, but yeah, so I've had other, friendships, on solely, I guess you could say, I don't know if I would actually say friendships, because usually it takes me like a decent amount of time to consider somebody a friend. I think it was more just conversations ended, and maybe I was like hoping we would be friends. So I think that might have been like, I think I had maybe like one more friendship end for some time, and then we started like talking again after some time, or contacting each other again. So yeah, that first one that I just mentioned was like the most like vivid one, because most of the other ones was just conversations ending, not so much friendships, and it wasn't to that extent of the one I just mentioned. So, and it's, I know this has not only, oh my gosh, sorry y'all, this went to low battery mode, distracted me. Hold on, I'm gonna try to get this cord over here. That was really distracting. So the camera just got even darker, the lighting just got even worse than what it just was, because I'm on low battery. Do y'all even hear that? Okay. So here we go. Okay. Think it should be okay? The lighting is still terrible, but it's not as bad as it was 2 seconds ago. More than 2 seconds ago, technically. Anyways, so friendships end on slowly, as they do everywhere else. Teardrops. Moving on to the next theme. The next theme is the time and efforts. So the time and effort discrepancy on slowly. So sometimes, I feel like I will just kind of meshed into like one word. Oh my gosh. My lips are chapped, so it makes it 10 times worse for me. Okay. So I felt like I was trying to, like, not trying, but I just accidentally, like, meshed 2 words together, and it came out very oddly. Time and effort discrepancy. Okay. So I usually, when I send letters to people, I will put in the time and effort. And if not always, when I was on Slowly during the beginning, my first time on Slowly, first account I had, I was not sending letters as I do now. Not technically right now in this, I don't have Slowly like installed right now, but I was sending letters, much shorter letters, when I first started, because I'll admit, I was very new to it. I was not sure how it works, so I get people sending short letters sometimes, especially if they're new. I understand, like, if somebody is new, like, shorter letters, and I know I said about unpersonalized letters. I guess I should mention that I could also understand better if somebody's new sending an unpersonalized letter. I still, once again, think there's a way to send a personalized letter even if you're new. However, I understand it more if you're new. Anyway, so I was sending shorter letters, so some people would say I wasn't putting enough. Some people may think I wasn't putting enough time and effort. I was new. Then as time went by, I, expanded my letters. It got better in my view, and yeah, but then, when I would send letters to people, sometimes I felt the same wasn't reciprocated. Maybe they were new, maybe not, but usually, yeah, I don't know, but I remember one very like vividly from sort of recently that I sent a letter to somebody, and they sent me a letter back. It was the first letter I sent them. They sent me a letter back, and I sent them like a few. This may seem like a lot for a first letter. I don't know. I guess it depends who you ask again. I sent them a few like paragraphs. It wasn't an essay to me, though I guess some may consider it an essay, or maybe technically it is considered an essay, but I sent them a few paragraphs because I was talking a little bit about myself and their biography, but mainly I was talking about their biography, and I asked them a few questions. They sent me a letter, and they typed to me that they don't remember some of the questions I asked them, and then they inserted an emoji. Should I insert an emoji here? We'll see. I'll put my hands up anyways to the air like a demonstration, like I'm totally gonna add something here like these people do. Yeah, you see my hands. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, then they use the like this smiley face and sweat emoji, and it was a very short letter, very short, very disappointing letter. They didn't answer most, if not any, of my questions. No, I think they answered one. They didn't answer most of my questions, which I only had like 3, and it was just a short letter. It wasn't really like, I didn't feel like they really, I mean, they told me that they, tend to forget, and so, which, okay, I get it, though, and they did ask me a question, though I think they asked me it was a stupid question to me. They asked me something that they could have just found out by clicking on my profile, literally, and just looking at my profile. And, like, a part of me, is like, oh, stupid, like, is this too strong of a word? But, like, I don't understand, like, at that point, I don't really know why they responded to me when it was something so lackluster. So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to time and effort. Some people, yes, they will put in the time and effort. They will reciprocate. Others won't. Just depends who it is. It can also depend on the time of their life, the timing of their life. Maybe they're very occupied at that time, but they still want to send you letters. So they send you letters that are less than what you expected. Something akin. So, it varies from person to person. The next theme I want to go over is how I think I wrote this on my notes in a certain way, but I think I'm going to go over the too many choices, options theme first. So this technically isn't with Slowly itself. This is more of a general, like, online culture theme where whenever somebody's online, whether it's for finding friendships or for dating, just meeting people in general, it's contacting people forging relationships in general with people online. There's usually a lot of options, and how this relates to Sully and me, when I love to read people's biography on Sully because it just interests me. I love reading, and I honestly just enjoy reading people's biographies on Sully just to see what they typed, see what they're about. And I actually wouldn't say a lot of the time. Sometimes I'm like, you know what, this person seems very interesting. Though, times that by like a decent amount of people, and it's like 20 people, for example, I'm like, oh, their profiles seem very interesting. And my brain just works in the way where I treat it as if I am going to be genuine friends with all of these people. I'm like, can I have 20 genuine friends? Even if they're online, can I have 20 genuine friendships all at once? Right? Because they're going to be all at once. I mean, I could contact them at different times, but the point is, like, it's going to be all, in that time frame, in a certain time frame. If hopefully that made sense what I was saying. Anyways, so it's like, how do you decide who to contact on SOOO versus another person? It's very fascinating to me because, when you are only confined to making friendships or any type of relationship based on your geographical location, it naturally dwindles the amount of relationships you're going to make because it's contained to your geographical location. It's contained to your community, right? Like whoever's in your community, people around your age or similar interest, it's all confined to something a lot smaller. Though when it comes to online, you have generally a whole lot more options, a whole bunch of options, a whole bunch of people to choose from. And this is not inherently wrong or bad to me because I get it. Like, this is, on apps, you're going to generally have more people. I get it. Though, I think what it creates sometimes is this, like, sort of recycling of people where in not only in slowly, not only in friendships in general, in any type of relationships, even on dating apps, but I'm, referring to slowly specifically, but it happens outside of slowly, where you'll be contacting, it's like I can be contacting somebody on slowly, and it's like if they mess up once, if there's some friction, some conflict that I don't want to work out with them because I have so many options to choose from other people, it's just like, okay, I just won't work this conflict out with them. I won't talk it out. I will just leave them on read or delivered and move on to the next person. I don't do this personally because this is just, I'm aware of it, and I don't want to treat people this way. Though, I know it happens, and I've encountered a lot of people. I've had a lot of conversations on slowly, but I have, in my view, I've also, I don't know if I would say messed up, but I've also been in this predicament where, not this exact predicament where I recycle people, but where I just I'll be, sometimes I'll get very excited to contact somebody because of their biography, how interesting it is that I contact them, and it's like, oh, that's like 5 people later. It's like, okay, I've like overdone it. Not necessarily, but not recycle people, because once again, I've only left, I didn't mention this earlier. I've only left one person on red on slowly, and I think one other time outside of slowly when I was much younger, like middle school age, I've only left one person on red on slowly, maybe 2, but definitely at least 1. But I don't think, definitely not more than 2. And the reason I left them on red was because to put it as, we can condensed as possible, I felt they were being inauthentic. Moving on. So, in their letters, I took a break from slowly. I said I was back. They said how excited they were that I was back, though I just thought it was inauthentic because of how long they were taking to respond to me in previous letters, despite their reply time in their profile. and I get it happens, so it just felt they didn't, send me any follow-up letter. It just felt inauthentic. So anyways, but yeah, so I don't leave people on read and delivered usually. And so, and also I forgot to mention one last aspect to leaving people on read and delivered, my theme there, since this ties in. I understand if people leave others on read and delivered when it comes to if somebody's being inappropriate, sensuous, or disrespectful to them, then I can understand better somebody being left unread or delivered. I just wanted to mention that. Okay, moving on. So yeah, even though I felt at times that I contacted too many people on SOOO, I didn't let that allow me to just leave people on read and delivered. I was like, you know what? If I contacted this many people on SOOO, then that's on me. Like, that's my fault, and I should handle it. I shouldn't leave people on read and delivered because of something I did, because of how I contacted a lot of people. Then that's too bad. Then I just need to, like, if nothing went wrong, then just keep having conversations with them and see where it goes, because now I got myself into this. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Hopefully it does. That, if I started this, then I need to continue with that, because the easy way is to leave people on read and delivered. But like I said, I just try my best to not do that. And like I said, I only did it once. So yeah, I just feel like when there's a lot of options for people on apps, it creates less accountability and less need for people to stay committed to one person or a few people, because there's so many. And so it just creates, to me, this realm where, like I said, especially because it's online, you're most likely never going to see this person. And once again, because you don't hear their voice, you don't see their facial expressions, you don't see how it impacted them, like, as a human, then you just see a screen, you just see the letter, the words, then it creates that sort of this humanly disconnect between people. And so yeah, I with the amount of options, it's like I said, it's not inherently wrong or bad, because some people, they don't contact a bunch of people. They know, like, if I do, this will happen, and they stay to a few people or one person, and so it works for some people. But then other people, sometimes, such as myself and others, maybe we get excited, or we just, like, we just get excited and we're like, oh, I want to contact this person and contact that person. Next thing you know, it's like a bunch of people. It's like, okay, how am I going to keep up with everybody? And like I said, my brain automatically goes to, I'm going to have a friendship with this person. So I know that it's telling myself that, okay, I should restrain or hold back from contacting every person that I find interesting, because then it's going to be too many people. And I cannot possibly keep up with all of them. Even if we're not contacting frequently or consistently, I still think in terms of if we are, just in case, because like I said, I don't want to have a lot of people on SOOO or in my contacts, because it gets to be overwhelming. So there's that. And then the other aspect, I think I'm going to talk a little bit more about the too many options later on in the video. The last theme I want to talk about is how SOOO pulls users back in. Once again, this is not inherently wrong. It just, I find it interesting how I've been on and off of SOOO, and I keep every time I'm off of SOOO, sometimes you know, it'll be like time goes by, or every time I've been off Sully, time will go by and I'll be off of it. And then I feel like it pulls me back in. And because, I'm like, okay, I would like to have another friend in maybe this part of the world, or just have another friend in general, I guess. And I noticed that this is not just with me, this is with other people as well. And it's just something that I take note of because I want to be careful with it, once again, because I don't want to contact too many people. And I also just, I want to take breaks from the app because it can be just, sometimes the app just feels lonely and frustrating, and also sometimes I just, want to take a break from being online in that way. So those are the themes I wanted to go over.